WhatsApp group. So before starting the Dhamma discussion, let us make our minds, or let us get our backgrounds clear so that the mental background would be suitable for the understanding of Dhamma and also to complete our Arya pathway. So let us remind ourselves about all the meritorious deeds that we might have done during this life and during the sansaric journey, and we might have done many meritorious deeds towards the triple gems. That's why we have gained this very rare opportunity to listen to Dhamma and to understand Dhamma. So let us understand that all these meritorious deeds are immeasurable, and may those meritorious power generate the necessary background, and may all those meritorious power agglomerate together, creating the perfect background for us to understand Supreme Dhamma, completing our Arya pathway. Accept this blessing with the sadhukara.
Sadhu,
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 sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu.
And also, during this journey towards Nibbana, we might have associated with many Buddha sasanas. So we might have done meritorious deeds, as well as we might have done bad, unethical, immoral, unwholesome acts as well. So the ones who we might have done these unwholesome things might have been supreme individuals, Arya people, Arya individuals. So because of avidya, because of our ignorance, we might have done these unethical, immoral, unwholesome acts towards them. So let us acknowledge at this moment, since we know what are unwholesome and what are wholesome right now, let us acknowledge our faults. Let us acknowledge that these unwholesome deeds are wrong, and let us determine that and to not to do those unwholesome acts again, promising in front of Supreme Buddhas that we would refrain from doing any unwholesome deeds towards the triple gems and towards all the living beings as well. With that determination in mind, accept this with a sadhukar.
sadhu,
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So today we have got few questions. I think we'll go from the first one to the last. And the first question we got today, I read it out and then we'll discuss that. Yathābhūta ñāna is wisdom about the true nature of this world, made of 4 types of bhuta, Patavi, Apo, Tejo, and Vayu. I would like to know more about this wisdom and its deeper connection to the 4 noble truths and Paticcasamuppada. I don't think I contemplate the existence of Patavi, Apo, Tejo, and Vayu in my daily life. I just contemplate the casual principle of the body and mind and its anicca nature. How to contemplate the true nature of Bhuta with this body and mind. So I hope you understand the question. So we have to know a few basic things, especially about the etymology of these words, before continuing to Apo, Tejo, Vayu, and Pati. First one is Yathābhūta ñāna Dassana. Dassana means, if I write it out, if I use the whiteboard, I think it would be easier for you to understand, because I would be breaking this word into its parts. So
Thero, at the moment, we cannot see the shared screen. I removed
that?
spotlight from you for now, but I'm not sure whether
But
others can see. I can only see saying started screen sharing, and I'm not able to see anything other than that.
I think there's a problem. So I'll stop sharing and then I'll share it again and let's see. How about now? No.
Not on my end, Thero.
Yeah. That hasn't happened before.
That is correct. I had initially put the other on spotlight, but I've removed that. But I don't think that's the problem. Yes.
Yeah, I am host.
Yeah, I've given I've given a co-host for both the login IDs that you have used.
Now it's working, I think.
It shows that screen sharing has started, but it's a dark screen. Thero, at your end also, are you seeing the same message, or is it only me?
Yeah, I'm also seeing the same thing.
Okay.
If this does not work, then we'll go for the inbuilt whiteboard.
If you wish, you can try and re-log in from that particular one, the device you are using. Just log off and log in, Thero, if you can. The device. Maybe now you can try, Thero. I have.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Seems to be
Still no.
Still the same problem.
Yeah, we'll go for the inbuilt one. I think that'll work. Yes, that works.
Yeah, that seems to be functioning, Thero.
Yes. Okay, now this is the problem with this.
I understand that your the
Yeah.
screen sensitivity is a issue.
Yeah. Yathābhūta ñāna Dassana. So we'll break this word Yathābhūta ñāna and Dassana. Now Dassana means vision or view. We can say both, view. Ñāna means wisdom. Bhuta and Yatha. Yatha means actually something like reality. So Bhuta, what is Bhuta? Now, you have heard this Pali saying, Hetum paticca sambhutam, hetu bangha nirujjati. The meaning of that is when causes are aligning or when causes are joining together, that would create the effect. Now, Bhuta is what is created as the effect. Now, if we go for a few examples, now I am as a person, I am a Bhuta. My mind is a Bhuta. My body is a Bhuta. You as individuals are also Bhutas. And again, trees are Bhutas. Houses, vehicles, anything, this world, everything, because they are effects, or there are things that are that have been created. So again, we can say it's a Sankata. Sankata is a Bhuta, and that is something got created because of Hetu or causes. Now that is a Bhuta. So reality behind Bhuta means these things. Now, Hetum Paticca Sambhutang is actually the Yathābhūta ñāna Dassana. It is when compiled together, when summarized together, that is everything. The Hetum Paticca Sambhutang, and the latter part also should come, because otherwise you would not know what to do to get rid of that problem. That is Hetu Bhanga Nirujjati. So I think we have discussed this Pali phrase, Hetum Paticca Sambhutang Hetu Bhanga Nirujjati. So this Bhuta is that is what Bhuta means. Now, yes, Apo Bhuta, Tejo Bhuta, Vayo Bhuta, Patavi Bhuta are also Bhutas, because they are also things that have been created. So from Bhuta, it condenses to Mahabhuta. Apo Mahabhuta, Tejo Mahabhuta, Vayo Mahabhuta, and Patavi Mahabhuta. Then again it condenses to Dhatu. Apo Dhatu, Vayo Dhatu, Tejo Dhatu, and Patavi Dhatu. This Bhuta state of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi is very, very fine. We cannot see it. It's just the mere physical form of this Apo quality, Tejo quality, Vayo quality, and Patavi quality. And when this mere physical form, fine physical form, is condensed together, we call it Mahabhuta. Maha means the elite form, or the condensed form, or the rough form. We can use all those words there. So that is Mahabhuta. Again, when this Mahabhuta again condensifies into levels that we can see, we can feel, and we can touch, then that is Dhatu. Apo Dhatu, Vayo Dhatu, Tejo Dhatu, and Patavi Dhatu. Now we'll go from the first one, how they are, we'll come to the point where Yathābhūta ñāna Dassana is achieved through Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, or understanding of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi. First thing is, there are 84,000. It says that there are 84,000 ways to understand this Dhamma. There are 84,000 sutras in the Pali Tripitaka, not right now, but in the previous Tripitaka, which was complete, maybe there were. And there's a thing called Dahasak 9 Pratimandita Soan state. I think you might have heard it from our Lokuteros or Beratana Teros translated teachings. So what is meant by Dahasak 9 Pratimandita means you can see this reality using 1001 methods. Because when you see reality using one method, you can apply that in various different methods and understand that it is the same thing that is there in this world. It is the same thing in even, let's say, for example, if you get a orange or an apple in your hand, you can see the apple in different directions. You can use the 4 main directions and see at the apple changing its directions, but you see the same apple. Just like that, when it is about reality, no matter how, no matter in what direction you are seeing, or what way, what technique you use, it gives the same end result, which is it should be the truth, or it should be the reality. That is a quality of reality or truth. It should not change based on where you are seeing or what you the viewpoint. So now we'll go from this. This is again a method that you can use to see the reality. This way of seeing the world as Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Patavi. We'll first discuss about the broader view. So there's this methods that we can classify this world. We have the 5 aggregate method. Or we can say it's Panchaskanda. And the second one, there's this method where we divide this world into dhatu. There's a method that we can divide this world into 6 dhatu. That is Apo, Tejo, Vayu, Patavi, and Akasa, Viññāna. And there's another method that we can divide this world into Chakku dhatu, Sota dhatu, Chakku Viññāna dhatu. So 18. Likewise, there's Sota dhatu, Saddha dhatu, Sota Viññāna, Gana, Jivha, Kaya, and Mano. So 3 for each. 3 into 6 is 18. So there's this method that we can use. And there's this Paticcasamuppanna method. Paticcasamuppada method also can be used to see this world. And these are different methods that you can use to see the anicca, dukkha, anatta nature. And there's again this method you can use as ayatanas. 6 internal ayatanas and 6 external ayatanas. What are the internal ones? Chakayatana, Sotayatana, Ganayatana, Jivhayatana, Kayayatana, and Manayatana. That is the internal 6. And external 6 are Rupayatana, Saddhayatana, Gandhayatana, Rasayatana, Pottabhayatana, and Manayatana, Dhammayatana. Those are the external 6. I think you understand these meanings, even though I am using Pali language. So ayatanas are eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind, and the external ayatanas are images, sounds, smells, taste, touches, and then the thoughts. So you can use either one of them depending on what you prefer or what you understand the most. You can use either one of them, and you can apply anicca, dukkha, anatta. Now the anicca, dukkha, anatta is universal. That is the nature of the world. That's why we call them characteristics. Characteristics of this world. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 main characteristics. That is anicca, dukkha, and anatta. And we can use either one of these templates and see the anicca, dukkha, anatta nature of this world using either one of these templates. Now, let's say the world is like this, with various continents and ocean and everything. And we have glass, the glass that is used to magnifying glass. And this magnifying glass is actually these things, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you can use either magnifying glass. It can be the 5 aggregates one. It can be the dhatu one, or the paticcasamuppada one, or the ayatana one. And what you are seeing is actually these three characteristics, anicca, dukkha, anatta. Now this is a analogy that we can use to apply and understand this method which we use to see the reality of the world. And using this method, we see the world as anicca, dukkha, and anatta. This is the classification, the magnifying glass. So whichever you can use whichever method. Now this is one of the methods that you can use. It is not if this Yathābhūta ñāna darsana is, you can use all of these, one of these, to achieve that. What you have to see is the anicca, dukkha, anatta nature, nothing else. So if somebody prefers this dhatu method, which is one of my favorites, I tend to like this apo, tejo, vayu, patavi method a lot. So if you like that method, then you can use it, because if that is what reduces or eliminates your raga, dvesa, moha, use that one, because that might be the one suits for your indriya anatta, or for your differentiations in your indriyas, or your organ, the arya organs, saddha, virya, sati, samadhi, and panya. So based on that, you can actually initially, at the initial phase, you can experiment with each and every one of those, and you'd get this natural idea that this suits more than the others. When that happens, go with that. That can change over time. You don't have to stick with that forever or until the pathway is completed. You can change it when you feel like, now I feel now this 5 aggregate methods is easier for me, then change it. It does not matter. There's no hard and fast rule that you have to stick with one, or you have to attain nibbana using one method. So again, now back to dhatu or bhuta. So how does this bhuta come to life? Now we know that our mental power or mental energy is what creates this external as well as the internal world. Internal means the ears, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body and mind. External means the images, sounds, smells, tastes, touches, and thoughts. These are actually created by our own actions, that were done out of avidya. So when we know that part, we have to understand how apo, tejo, vayu, and patavi, and there's this akasa and vijnana as well, how these things come into play or come into action. First, we'll go for patavi. So patavi is the roughness. So roughness is actually is created, and when our mind, because of the rough nature or avidya nature, now there's lobha, dosa, moha, and alobha, dosa, moha. Those are the 6 causes that creates this world. So in those 6 causes, there's this cause called moha. Moha means the clinging nature or bonding nature. Without any reason, you just bind. bind to something. For example, I think I have given this example before. When, let's say, you are free falling from a airplane, and now you would grab onto anything that you find. Now this is at night, and your parachute was on, but it somehow it did not work well, and now you are free falling, and you fall onto a tree. Now luckily no damages. Now you are falling from one branch to the other one, and you are falling down, and you don't know how much more to fall until you hit the ground, and you don't know what is there under the ground, on the ground. Maybe there are thorns, maybe there are sharp objects, maybe there are stone or rocks or something, maybe there are dangerous animals. So because this is at night, you don't know anything, so you just you find a branch. All of a sudden, when you hit that branch, you just grab onto that branch. You never let go, because you don't know what is there down below, and you stay like that until dawn, until the sun rises. When the sun rises, you understand, you see that there's only 1 feet from the ground, and you are holding all this time, and you're holding on to this branch for no reason, because there's a perfectly flat ground underneath, which is only 1 feet below. So that is the nature of now the light here, or the sun rising, is like panya, wisdom. So darkness is like moha. So when there's moha, when there's ignorance, now moha is a very dense form of ignorance. Now when there's moha, you just grab onto things. You don't grab because you like them. You are not attaching to that branch because of lobha, because of it is very likable, but because of moha. That there's a difference between the two. So this moha is something like you just hold on to something, you never let go, and that rough nature, that solid nature, is what creates this Patavi nature. Now Patavi nature, because of that, it has a very rough nature. Now Patavi, this Patavi nature is something not physical. Now you understand, this is not physical initially, but as soon as it becomes physical, we call that Apo Bhuta. And when that condensifies, when it becomes more solidified or more physical, the physical components are gathered together, that is called Apo Patavi Mahabhuta. And that is what creates the rocks, soil, and other Patavi, the components that has more Patavi in it. And then there's the Apo nature, which is the original mindset that creates the Apo nature, is the Lobha. Lobha is attachment. Attachment because you like, because of when there are sensual pleasures, when there are cravings, when there's this gratification, you just hold on to these things, and you latch on to these things, and that is because of lobha. And lobha is what creates the apo nature, stickiness. This apo nature is something that the nature of apo is actually it can bind two things together because it's sticky. So that is what that is when that becomes physical, you see again apo bhuta, the same pattern is there. So apo mahabhuta and apo dhatu. So the third one is Apo, Tejo, and Tejo. Yes, the third one is Tejo. Tejo is the energy. Now you have, when temperature rises or when the heat energy is given to an object, what happens at the molecular level is the motion of these molecules increases, or the vibration of these molecules increases because they receive energy. Now that's what happens when you become dvesha. When your mind is covered with dvesha, you are energized. You can now kill people, can hurt somebody. You don't care what happens. You can hold onto heavy things. That means when you are going for a fight, you are bringing a sword for the fight, and naturally this sword is very heavy. But at an instance when you are angry, you are fully charged, you just feel it like a very, very light object. Again, that's the same with guns and other weapons. So you don't feel the heaviness because you are charged. And this charging, this is like fire. You can feel it in your body, the fiery nature. You can feel it in your heart, in your chest, that you are burning. Now that is what creates the Tejo nature. Apo, Patavi, Apo, Tejo. Again, the same pattern. So when that when that becomes physical, that is Dhatu, Mahadhatu, and Bhuta, Mahabhuta, and then the rough form is that we can see as fire and as heat, as temperature, that we can feel it with our hands, is actually Bhuta level. And the Vayo is actually finer than the other three and lighter than the other three. And the nature of Vayo is it has less attachments, it just moves freely, it has a flexible nature. So that is because of Alobha, Adosa, and Amo. All three creates the Vayo nature. So again the same pattern. So now you know how the world is created with Apo, Tejo, Vayo, and Patavi, because of our mental or our own defilement. So the hetu or causes that are created with our mind. And to tell you more about the Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi qualities, you know what Patavi means. Now, when you get cement is a powder. When you get cement in your hand, you can feel, and if you crush it in your fist, and you are making a fist and you are crushing a small amount of cement powder in your hand, you can feel the roughness or the heaviness, solid nature. You can feel it. That is Apo. But as soon as you open or you open your hand, that becomes powder again. That just breaks into pieces. But what if you add water, which has more Apo nature in it? Then these cement particles, are actually,
부단식게 지금 수업 듣고 있거든.
I think it's better if somebody has turned their mics on. Okay. So if these cement particles are, then if you add water, Apo, then these are connected or attached together, stick together, and it creates a very heavy or very solid object, which is like a stone. Now that is the Apo nature acting with Patavi nature together. So again, you have to understand these are actually qualities. The third one, which is the Tejo nature. Tejo nature is actually, we can say it is energizing nature. So when you energize something, it lasts longer. That's why we use this method of using heat energy to preserve foods. We use this method of to preserve food items, because when you add more tejo into an item, that can last longer. That is tether. Tether means the energized nature, long lasting nature. That is there in tejo or fire the most. Fire has the most energy. That's why we use it to burn things, destroy things, because it has energy. So that is the tejo nature. And vayo nature is actually the flexible nature. Now you get a flexible tube and you fill it with sand. You loosely pack this flexible tube with sand, and you close the two ends. Now you can flex it. You can flex it to different directions without a problem, because there's space, and in that space there's vayo or air. Because of that, because there are a lot of spaces and a lot of air in between these sand particles, you can just flex this flexible tube without a problem. But if you put more and more sand, and if you compress it into one solid tube of one solid block of sand, now there are less spaces between these sand particles. Now it is jam packed, and now if you try to flex this flexible tube, you can't. It is very hard. Why? Because there are no there's less spaces, there are less air in between, so the vayo nature is less. Because of that, the vayo quality or the flexible quality is less. So now we know what is apo, tejo, vayo, and patavi. So there's this akasa. Akasa is space. Now we see things because of akasa actually, because it outlines. Now let's say we get a cup and we keep it on the table, and we can identify that it is a cup. Why is that? Because we are seeing that separated from the space. When there's something in the space, we can see the space and that object separately, so we identify that it is something or item. So this is identified because of akasa dhatu. Now then there's this viññāna dhatu. Viññāna dhatu is not physical. Now viññāna dhatu is the ability. It is also a nature or a quality. What quality? The quality of being able to sense and feel. You can feel it. The consciousness about feeling is actually viññāna dhatu. So these 6 items, we can use this classification to see this world, and we can use this. We can we can use this method, Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, Akasa, and Vijnana, to see this world as Anicca, Dukkha, and Anatta. Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, and Asubha. So that is a method that you can use to obtain or acquire Yathābhūta ñāna Dassana. So since you like reading Tripitaka, Pali Canon, if you go for Majjhima Nikaya, then there's this the third main chapter, which is Upari-pannāsaka, or the last book. And in the last book, there's this Vibhanga Vaggo, and in the Vibhanga Vaggo, there's Dhatu Vibhanga, which is actually a conversation between Pukkusati Kulaputta and Supreme Buddha. And in this, he explains this method of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, Akasa, and Vijnana. How you should see using this method is very nicely explained in that sutra. So let's go through that, the explanation of Supreme Buddha, and understand how we can use this method in our day-to-day life, the Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi method, and Akasa Vijnana, of course. So at some points we have to use Vijnana, because not all objects has Vijnana. If an object has a Vijnana, then we call it a Sattva, or a being. So Chandaraga, or attachment, does not happen only to living objects, but to non-living things as well. So we sometimes use the Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi and Akasa, and sometimes use all six, depending on which object you are seeing as Anicca, Dukkha, and Anatta. Now, last time we discussed why we should not take things as me, mine, or my soul, or myself, because of Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. So we'll take first one, Apo, Patavi. So Patavi will apply to our own body, because it is what we like the most. It is where the delusion is at its best, or ignorance, or the avijja is working at its best at the level of our own body and mind, not in the external world. So we'll apply it to our own body and mind, so you will be able to apply it anywhere. So this is an example. We are taking our body and mind as an example to see using this classification, Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, Akasa, Vijnana, to see the reality of the world, which is Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta nature. Now, Patavi nature, Supreme Buddha says there are 20 organs in our body that are predominantly Patavi, which are Kesa, Loma, Naka, Danta, Tacho. Then there's Mansang, Naharu, Ati, Minjang, Wakang, Adayang, Yakanang, Kilomakang, Pihakang, Papasang, Antang, Antagunang, Udariyang, Karisang, Matalunga. I think I said everything. There are 20. So these 20 items are mainly Patavi. The problem is we get attached to these Patavi. Now, what we are going to eliminate is Chandaraga, or what we are going to eliminate is the attachment. Because of avidya, this attachment occurs. And we are going to see that there's no basis for this attachment. There should be a logic. There should be a basis why you are getting attached. But there's none. And that is being highlighted here when you are using this method. Why? the Patavi which we have right now in our body is actually, there's no difference from the Patavi which are there in the outside world. This Patavi was actually initially was taken by our mother when we were at her womb as a fetus. She got Patavi from the external world, and that Patavi created the fetus. And we were born, and as an infant, we took as an infant, and while we were growing until today, we were taking Patavi as food from the outside world. And some of these Patavi were removed from our body as fecal matter. And the rest is there, lying in our body, creating our body, maintaining our body. Now that is Patavi. Now the thing is, would you give the same value to the Patavi in the outside world and to the Patavi in our body? What if some of the Patavi was lost? Some of your last bit of your finger was chopped off. That is Patavi. Let's say you don't feel the pain. Now, somebody would argue now that would not generate pain if you remove some dirt or sand from the floor. That would not change. That would not create pain. Let's say that person's arm is pain, or that he does not feel any pain sensation, and you would not die because of it, because a surgeon is actually removing the end part of your finger, and he's just going to perfectly do the surgery, and without any life risks, he would do it. Even if that's the case, you'd not want your the end of your finger chopped off, because you like it, because you like that Patavi. But the thing is, that Patavi and this Patavi, the Patavi in the outside world and Patavi in your body, works exactly in the same way the Patavi works. The natural nature, it obeys the laws of nature. It obeys the gravity when it is put, when it is when if it is projected up, it would come back to the earth. If it is heated, it would get heat energy and get heated, and it would obey all the laws of nature. There's no difference. And the other thing, even though that's the case, we get attached. If the nails were clipped, and these clipped nails were kept on your palm, if those were your nails, your Patavi, then you would not feel upset. But if it was someone else's nails that were clipped and put on your palm, then you would not like that. And again, if some of your phlegm, or let's say sweat, tears, or whatever the things, let's say the Patavi nature things, were touched, you don't feel that much of uncomfortable nature. But if it was someone else's Patavi, or someone else's excreted products, then that would be a problem. That would cause a problem in you. Now, you see, now there's a problem with this. If you see with wisdom, that's just Patavi. you just can't get upset with one Patavi and get attached to another. It's just the same Patavi. When you see this nature, you see that Patavi is not a sattva, Patavi is not a person, Patavi is just a object. And in reality, this object has no value in that. When you isolate it, when you isolate and see, use the Bhagava quality, that's the Buddha quality. And using this Bhagava quality, we isolated this Patavi, and we are seeing, using our wisdom, using our deep understanding that, yes, I am doing something wrong. I'm getting attached to Patavi, and because of that, I am paying a big price. I am attached to this Patavi, so I am protecting it. I am doing everything that is possible. If there is a small cut in our finger, the pain that is generated is actually very small and very less. But the mental discomfort, mental pain, suffering that is created by ourselves, because we would be thinking the person who did it, we would be thinking how long would I be experiencing this pain, would this get infected, would I die because of this, and everything would come to your mind, and you'd just be very upset. And that would, the more you are attached, the more you would suffer. So that is because of Patavi. That is the same for Apo as well. Now this is how you should see. Then this is Yathābhūta ñāna Dassana, using Apo Tejo Vayo Patavi. Now let's say you now we applied it to ourselves. Now you can apply it to other people and other objects as well. Now if you get attached to a person, an individual, maybe a lady or a gent or somebody, so that is again the same principle. You are getting attached to Apo, Tejo, Vayo and Patavi in different ratios, combined in different ratios, in different ways, in different shapes, and you are getting attached to that. But you are not getting attached to a rock. That is also Patavi. That person is also having a Patavi. But that Patavi is important. This rock is not so important. Now that is how you develop your logic, or you develop your wisdom, actually. So again, we'll go for Apo. Apo, again, we have predominantly Apo, 12 items or 12 organs which are predominantly Apo. That is Pittang, Semhang, Pubbo, Lohitang, Sedo, Medo, Asu, Vasa, Kelo, Singanika, Lasika, Muttang. Those are actually urine, tears, sweat. Then there's pus. There's the tissue fluid, and everything is there. So there are 12 items. So these items also, when they are in our body, again we received it from our parents, from our mother, then from the external environment. But as soon as it was taken in, and as soon as it becomes a part of our body, which is actually a part of nature, we think that it is a part of our body, then the whole viewpoint about Apo becomes different. And the person thinks that Apo in my body is very important. What if 100 milliliters of blood is lost from your body due to a cut? That blood would be felt. You'd feel it. You'd have a mental breakdown because of 100 milliliters of blood were lost, and it is on the floor. And say you are in a coma, or you are fainted, because of this wound, that because you lost 100 milliliters of blood, and because you are a person that you don't like seeing blood, and this created a actually a drop in blood pressure, and this made the person to faint. And when you wake up, your wound was sutured and all taken care of, and you have injected pain relieving medication, and everything was okay. But when you wake up, there's a puddle of blood on the floor, and you don't realize that it is your blood, and you think that this is another person's blood that is on the floor next to you. You would feel upset, you'd feel discomfort. But as soon as you understand that it is your blood that is on the floor, you are okay. Now that is the delusional mindset we have. It's the same apo, but when it is yours, you are okay with it. But when it is not yours, and when it is especially something like blood, urine, or something, then that is a problem, because you are attached to your apo. You think that it is your apo, but it is not. It is a part of the nature. It is a part of the nature that is accumulated in this body in that form, nothing else. So it obeys the natural rules. Again, when you boil it, it would boil. The water would boil. When it is put onto a surface, it would get attached to that surface, so it would just soaked into that surface. Or when you put a cloth, it would get soaked into that cloth. Everything that is there in apo, which is in the nature, is there in the apo, which is in your body as well. Now you cannot even identify or isolate your apo, your patavi, when you die. When you die, all the four elements just combines with their own form. The patavi goes and combines with the patavi, apo goes and combines with the apo, tejo to tejo, and vayo to vayo. Now your name is not written on that patavi, not on that apo. How would you recognize or identify or isolate that it is your patavi and it is your apo that you found very important and that you got attached? Cannot. Even in the beginning, you cannot find that this is my portion or my fraction of apo that would be creating my body in the future. Even that is not possible. So why would we give a different value to that apo than the rest of the apo? So again, to your body, you can apply it to your body, and to the other individuals and other objects that you find here. You divide and you see. It is the same story for Tejo. Tejo is created due to our metabolism, metabolic activities. And this Tejo is actually mixed with the Tejo, or this heat energy is lost to the environment. And when the environmental temperature is higher, the heat energy in the environment is absorbed by our body. It works both ways. It is in equilibrium. Heat energy comes and heat energy goes. So that is Tejo. So what is the our portion? My Tejo, which is valuable, which is important. There's nothing like that. It is the same part in the world. It is a part in the world. There's no separation from it. Our Tejo does not work differently from the rest of the Tejo in the world. It's the same thing. So that is Tejo. Again, the same thing, same logic and same explanation applies here. And again, Vayo. There are various Vayos. expiration, inspiration, then there are vayo or the gas in our digestive system, and also in between various cavities. So everything is vayo. So I'll give you an example how this become how far this problem goes. If somebody is inhaling and exhaling in front of you, and you can feel that person's breath coming out from his or her nose, you would feel upset. You would feel that it is you'd feel discomfort. But if it is the same breath, let's say you are breathing onto a bag and you are inhaling and exhaling the same air, you'd not feel that. Someone would argue that you would get diseases because you are inhaling other person's exhaled air. But this is not just not only after the development of science. This is even before that. People did not like the inhaling the breath of other people. Again, air. Then again, there are this air. Again, you can apply everything that was said for Apo, Tejo, Apo, Patavi, Apo, and Tejo to this air component as well. So this is only a part of nature. You are just inhaling the air of the environment, but you are exhaling my air. And now it has become mine. Now you attach to it. So again, these Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, combination of these things are seen as an individual. What you see when you see an individual is actually an image. You are not smelling that person if that person is far away or few feet away at least. You are just seeing him or her. If that person is not talking, you are not hearing her his voice. You are not smelling anything. You are not tasting anything. You are not touching anything. You are just seeing something. What you are seeing is a combination of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, and Patavi. Actually, what you can see is a combination of colors. And based on that small data, you create a imaginary thing in your head. It is all imaginary, that you think that this person is like this, like that, and this person is made of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, and everything is actually contemplated or imagined in your mind. And when you see everything as one unit, you cannot get rid of this delusion. You always fall onto the deception which is created by this avidya world. So that's why we use the method of Bhagava, and we divide. We divide and see, why am I attached to this person? Why am I attached to this individual? It is actually a combination of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi. Is there anything good in Apo that I should get attached to? Is there anything good in Tejo, Vayo, Patavi that I should get attached to? Actually, there's none. Now we are using the method of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi in our practical lives to get rid of Raga, Dvesa, and Moha. Now this is how you use your Yathābhūta ñāna Dassana to get rid of attachment or bonding nature, which is Nibbindati, which is called Nibbindati. What happens is, when you have Samadhi is the reason for Yathābhūta ñāna Dassana. Yathābhūta ñāna Dassana is this. When you have this This means the understanding now we are talking about. The method or the methodology that we can use to get rid of raga, dvesa, moha. That is the Yathābhūta ñāna dassana. Now we use these Yathābhūta ñāna dassana in our day-to-day life, every day, all the time. And when that happens, what happens is the nibbindati or the bonding nature is gotten rid of. Now in I don't know what is there in the English translation for nibbida, but in Pali, in Sinhala translation, that is wrong. It says that it is feeding up of something. If you get fed up, that is because of dvesa, dosa, not because of Yathābhūta ñāna dassana. There's no thing called fed up in Arya discipline. What is meant by nibbida is actually non-bonding nature. The bonding nature is lost. When that happens, after nibbida, what happens? Virajati, viraga, the elimination of raga. You are not wandering in that area that you find very dear. That is raga. You are not doing that because the bonding nature is no more there. You have seen the reality with the Yathābhūta ñāna dassana. So that created the non-bonding nature, that created viraga. Viraga is the reason for vimukti ñāna dassana. Now that is the prajna. Now this is the Yathābhūta ñāna dassana that would create the vimukti ñāna dassana. Vimukti means the salvation, the enlightenment. That would complete our enlightenment. Now this method is what we use in our day-to-day life, in our practice. This is what we practice. This is the magga. This is the Aryatangika magga that we practice until it is completed. Now we understood Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Pata. Now it's the same for Akasa as well. Akasa are spaces. Actually, we occupy a space. This body occupies a space in the infinite space. Again, there are spaces in our body as well. There are spaces in our nasal cavity, in our stomach, and in various areas in our body. There are spaces, and these spaces are no more valuable than the spaces that are in the outside world. Again, the same principle applies. So the problem comes when it comes to viññāna. Viññāna is the consciousness about feeling, consciousness about the sense. Now that is also a result. Result of what? Result of touch. When the touch is blissful, the Vedana is blissful, and the viññāna is actually the feeling of that Vedana or the consciousness about that blissful Vedana. Again, dukkha or the suffering's touch would create suffering Vedana, and viññāna is actually the consciousness about that suffering Vedana. Then the neutral touch would create neutral Vedana, and this consciousness about this neutral Vedana is actually the viññāna. Now you see, there's no one solid unit called viññāna that you can call me. It is actually a result of causes. Touch creating Vedana, creating consciousness. And this actually you cannot say that the Vijnana which was created in the beginning, it can be maybe a blissful Vedana at first. Now blissful Vedana should decay, and that blissful Vedana, the consciousness about blissful Vedana should deteriorate, and that should get eliminated or destroyed, so that a next Vedana could be generated. Let's say someone is eating an ice cream. Now Vijnana is created one at a time. Even though you are seeing this discussion, or you are listening to this discussion, and you are hearing, you are seeing it at the same time, it doesn't say that you are having two Vijnanas at the same time. Since this is a very fast activity, a very fast process, you cannot differentiate. You feel like all the five senses are working at the same time, but in reality only one can work at a time. It's just like a processor in a computer. It can process only one. Now there are different cores doing dual core, quad core, octa core, and everything. So they do things simultaneously. Maybe they can right now, but if it is only one core, then they can process one action at a time. So if our mind is like that, we can only process, or we can only create one Vijnana at a time, because we only have one mind, we only have one core, and one thing is processed at a time. So let's say someone is eating an ice cream, and he's walking barefoot on the street, and there was a sharp pin on the ground, and that person stepped on that pin, and now there's a sharp pain. Now initially, just before that pain, there was blissful sensation from the Jivha Vijnana, which is due to the ice cream. The taste, the deliciousness of the ice cream touching the taste buds of the tongue, that is touch. Now that is what we are doing, what we are saying is physical, but when it comes to the mental component, touch of Bahirayatana and Ajatayatana and Bahitayatana, that is Jivhayatana and Rasayatana, are touched, creating Vedana. And that Vedana is felt to our consciousness, which is Vijnana. Now that is Vijnana Dhatu. But that Vijnana Dhatu should be deteriorated and eliminated, so that you feel the pain sensation of that pin. If that did not die, then how can another one is created? So that should go away. So when the first Vijnana is deleted, and a second Vijnana comes, which is suffering. Now, what would you call me? The first blissful Vijnana, or the second suffering Vijnana? But the blissful Vijnana died, so did you die? The painful Vijnana was just born out of causes. Did you just came to life right now? We have this delusional mindset that there are some solid unit, one big unit that is uniform throughout a time period, that is there in our mind or body, or somewhere in our body, and we call that me. That is the delusional idea, but in reality it is actually created out of causes. And you don't have any control of what Vedana you should have. The control is actually there with touch. Touch controls what Vedana is received. If it is blissful touch, it is blissful Vedana. If it is suffering touch, it is suffering Vedana. If it is neutral touch, then that is neutral Vedana. No matter what we expect, you would like to experience blissful Vedana. Otherwise, we would not even walk in that street. We did not know that there was a sharp pin on the ground. We would not walk barefoot if we knew that we would be receiving suffering Vedana. But our expectation is one thing, to experience blissful Vedana or neutral Vedana. But touch decides what Vedana we receive. So we have no control over expectation. Out of expectation, we cannot come to conclusions that we can have control. And the other one is, there's no one uniform unit, one big unit that is uniform throughout a time period in our body called Vinyana. It is actually a cause and effect thing. Causes and effects, causes creates the effect. Touch creates the Vedana. Vedana is felt in our consciousness. In all the time, what we experience as consciousness is either a neutral Vedana, either blissful Vedana, or either suffering Vedana. Apart from that, there's no Vinyana, nothing called Vinyana. That is Vinyana Dhatu. Again, there's nothing valuable in that. It is the same for everybody. Everybody decides in the same manner. Just like Patavi Dhatu. There's no difference from the Vinyana of other ones, or the environment, or the nature. It's also a part of nature. Paticcasamuppanna, or a mechanism which is created with Paticcasamuppada. Paticcasamuppanna mechanism. That is what it is. Now this is what combines together into a one unit. What we see, what we hear, what we feel with smell, taste, and touch actually deceives us, because they were these organs, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, were created with avidya. Avidya was the culprit. Avidya was the base here, which created these organs, external as well as internal. So the data and information we get from these organs, five senses, and the mind always would be delusional. Those would be deceiving. So that's why we seek the help of wisdom, which is a different entity. We use as different organs. Shraddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya. Not these physical organs which are eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. Apart from that, we would rely on Shraddha, Virya, Sati, Samadhi, Panya organs. These are Arya organs, which we can use to see through this deception. So that's why we should be vigilant. We should be mindful. Work with the Chattaro Satipatthana. So if only we practice the Satipatthana, if only we use this Bhagava method of Bhagava, this is only one methodology. We have numerous types of methods that we can use to see the anicca, dukkha, and anatta nature of the world, to eliminate the chandaraga, or the attachment. When the chandaraga, or the attachment, is eliminated, removed from this system, which is elimination of raga, dvesha, moha, in other words, then that is the completion of pathway. And you can use this method, this apo, tejo, vayu, pati method, to do that. Now, that is the answer for the question which was posted on the chat. I hope that explains or that answers your question. And if there are more problems regarding that question, it is time to.
Thero, there was a follow-up, I think, sort of a comment on while the explanation was going on in the chat box.
Tejo seems to have some connection with Chanda. Both Kama Chanda and Chanda to Buddha Dhamma. Tejo. Tejo is actually physical. Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, everything, those things are physical. But Chanda and Kama Chanda, Chandaraga and everything are non-physical, which falls under Nama category. And Tejo falls under Rupa category. I don't know how there could be a relation with these two. Tejo actually is related with Dvesa, Dosa. Yes, Kama Chandra is the culprit or the reason for Dosa, but I have no idea how these two are connected. If you have anything, text, maybe a reference in the Pali Tripitaka or somewhere, then I can.
Thero, I am seeing you as unmuted. I'm not sure whether it's just for me, but now it's working. It's fine.
In this case, we view the blood limb as Nitya and Atta. Yeah. Now, yeah, this is right. Now we see things as Atta, which is full of essence, which is good, which is valuable. Now every term explains Atta, value, essence, these things explain the Artha. So when we think that these things which are made of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi as valuable, as essence, as full of essence, then these things are separated or something happens to those items or organ systems, then that creates suffering. I'm not talking about the physical suffering, the mental suffering it creates. That is so much more than the mental suffering, physical suffering. So that is what you need to understand. So again, we can capture the Apo element well in blood. Yes, now in blood there's the Apo element. Now the thing is, we get attached. Now you have to always focus on the attachment part. What we are doing here is using this methodology or using this way of seeing, the new method of seeing, to reduce or to eliminate our attachments, because that also is because of a reason. That is because this attachment is the cause of suffering. Now we want to somehow get rid of the attachment which is the cause of suffering, and because we always want to get rid of suffering, we need to get rid of that cause. And to get rid of that cause, we are not doing it blindly saying attachment is not good, something like that. We are not chanting some blind words. We are not just blindly believing something that attachment is not good, so we are not going to attach. We are actually seeing the reasons logically with wisdom why we should not attach. Using this method. Again, the Apo Tejo Vaya Paඨvi Akasa Vijnana method. You can use that, or you can use the fire aggregate method. You can use the Patisampada method. Whatever the method you use, what you should do is you should get rid of the Chandaraga or the attachment, because that is the reason for suffering. This is very logical, and this is full of wisdom. Why we are doing it? Otherwise, somebody would not understand the logic behind why we are seeing everything as Apo, Tejo, and Vayu and Paඨvi. Now, when we do this, when you practice this method over and over again, you would your Nama Rupa system would change. So Nama Rupa, again, there are different meanings for Nama Rupa. In this context, what we are referring to as Nama Rupa and Nama means the name, Rupa means the shape or the pattern of the object. So these Nama Rupa systems would change. When you are seeing a person, what generally comes to your mind may be a thought of raga, because your Nama Rupa are of that type. So what you are seeing, what you are looking for, what you are enjoying in that person or a person's, when you see that person, would be the things that comes to your mind as soon as you see that person. But when you practice this method, Apo Tejo Vayu Paඨvi, when you try to see that person as a combination of Apo Tejo Vayu Paඨvi, and when you master it, what is coming to your mind is not the ones that came before. Now it is changing. Now now as soon as instantly what comes into your mind are the Apo nature, Apo Tejo Vayu Paඨvi nature, the essenceless nature, the anicca nature, the dukkha nature. So the attachment would not occur. Now when you see like that, when the attachment is gone, the suffering would not occur. Now you have changed your life pattern, your thinking pattern into something else that would reduce your suffering. Now, wouldn't that what we want? That's why we use these kinds of method, and that's why we practice these methods, so that our level of suffering is lesser, and at the end we would be attaining Nibbana, ending all the suffering, even the physical ones. So I hope that explains the answer to the first question. If you have any questions, again, feel free to put those into the chat. Otherwise, and we'll go for the second one, second question, which was posted, and that is also, we can connect the two questions together as well. It is something about Vedana. I read it out. If there are any questions regarding the past question, you can put it again. You can put that into the chat. I want to ask about the Somanasa Vedana, the sensual pleasure that made by our delusional mind. Is the Somanasa Vedana based on the fear about not getting something what one wants? I thought we tend to cover that kind of fear by some sense that we want. But I have doubt about that, because I guess mind-made pleasure are founded on our fear with urge to get delusion. For example, I had an inferior complex of personality. I tended to crave the personality type that I want to be before learning Dhamma. But now I guess that kind of mindset makes my complex worse. I contemplated that it is because I want to get my delusion of superior complex that made by my fear. inferiority complex. The thing that I have done was covering fear by the sense made by fear. I guess like Somanassa Vedana is found on the fear. It is why Somanassa Vedana cannot cure the fear that our mind made. Is it appropriate? Some things I understood from the question, some were a bit unclear, but we'll go through the example. I'll tell you how Somanasa Vedana, and using this example, I'll try to explain that how this everything that has happened. So then you'd be able to fill in the gaps if there are any. So again, Somanasa Vedana. Now we'll go for the whiteboard again. It would be easier. Now touch is the reason for Vedana. Now we'll go with a new Paticcasamuppada. It is not actually new. It is only a part of the Paticcasamuppada. What is the Paticcasamuppada here? Chakkuncha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku viññāna. Tinnan sangati passo passapacchaya Vedana. So chakkuncha, chakku means the eye. Paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku viññāna means the consciousness about seeing. Tinnan sangati passo passapacchaya Vedana. So now this is it is a Paticcasamuppada method, part of it. Actually, this is actually one, even this one is Paticcasamuppanna. So we can call this Paticcasamuppada again. So what happens here when the Chakku Viññāna is created? Up until this moment, it is normal. But when this happens, Tinnan Sangati Passo, Sangha, this Sangha, right? This is one Sangha, and this Sangha with the H, Sangha. Sangha is for Bhikkhu Sangha, or one of the triple gems. Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. This Sangha, when there is no H here, or when the Gha is not emphasized with Gha, this is called defilements. Sangha means defilement. Sangha means Bhikkhu Sangha. Now those are totally opposite of another. Just a small fraction of sound changes the whole meaning. So Tinnan Sangati Passo means when the defilements are seeping in with the passa, that is called sampassa. We know what sampassa means. Sang means raga dosa moha, and that causes sang passa ja vedana. Sang passa. Ja means as a result of sampassa. The vedana caused Vedana, which is caused as a result of sampassa. Sam means raga dvesa moha. So that is sampassa. Now this passa without sangha and Vedana without sangha is actually there in an arihata as well. So what is passa here? Now when eye, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind receives its corresponding counterpart, which is images and everything, touch occurs. or Chakku Viññāna is created, and again at that point touch is created, creating Vedana. Now, even Supreme Buddha was seeing things, even Arihats were seeing things. He has to, when he was going for Pindapata, he has to see where the road is, where the people are. He has to listen to those people when having discussions. He has to smell whether the food is spoiled or food is new. He has to taste whether this is food or this is not food. Again, you have to have your taste. You have to have your bodily touch. And that is there because without that you cannot function. That is not going to go away even if you become Arihat. But what would go away is this Sangha. Not Sangha, but Sangha. Sangha is, when Sangha is removed, or the defilements, or actually we can use the other, we can use avidya, we can replace this as avidya passa. This is avidya passa. This is avidya vedana. Avidya means again value. Again, we can use another term, Nicha Sukha, another expansion, Nicha Sukhata Subha, Nicha Sukhata Subha Vedana. Good Vedana, valuable Vedana, important Vedana is created. Now that is Sampassa. Now, how does that happen? Now, we know the Avijja Patisampada, Avijja Sankara ñāna Namarupa Salayatana Passa and Vedana. So, before this, Avijja acts upon something, you have to get the input. Let's say this is a, now let's take that example. Inferiority complex, superiority complex, anything, those things are actually some things that are created in the mind. So, mind should receive thoughts. Then only you can start something. So, depending on this mind, the mind receives thoughts, and depending on that, as Mano Viññāna is performed. Now we are talking about Avyāputa Patisampada. So Mano Viññāna, after the Mano Viññāna, you get the Nama Rupa. Actually, this is Nama and Chattayatana, or the sixth organ. Sixth organ is again the mind. Then again Passa, Vedana, and after Vedana, you go for Bhava, which is the state of being, and Ajati. Now this thought comes here. Now this Jati, when it is created, you have the this without avidya. Now you are taking in things into your mind. You are just your thought process is working. Thoughts are coming to your mind. Based on that, you have avidya anusaya. Anusaya is the let's say anusaya is something like this. When you have a matchbox, you have the anusaya for fire. Now, if I elaborate on that, you have match in a matchbox, you have matches inside, and you have that black coating which is on the side of the matchbox, which when the match is stroked on that black material, fire is generated. We know how that works. Now we say this matchbox, this process or before it happening, it has the anusaya for fire. Because there was no fire in the matchbox or in the match, but it has this tendency, or it has the relevant causes. Still everything is not created, but as soon as the causes are created, fire would be generated. That is anusaya. Again, when this jati or when this manoviññāna is created at your mind, in your mind, since you have the anusaya, not everybody has that. That's why you only have this problem, not other ones. So if you have attachment for this certain kind of personality type, then that would have this anusaya, because you have given value. You have given value for something. And when you have given value for something, that is because of avidya. Because there's nothing valuable, nothing that's so is special, full of essence in this world. If you do not see with avidya, there's nothing. So in the eyes of wisdom, this is there's nothing valuable except nibbana. Thing is, nibbana is not a part of the world. So there's value for the superiority or whatever the complex, normal complex, or whatever the personality type. So because of that, as soon as this manoviññāna is created in your mind, this avidya, paccaya sankhara happens. Both happens at the same time. Because avidya is just a pattern. Sankhara is we took that example where we used the block of clay to create a pot. The pot is the viññāna. Pottery is sankhara. The shape of the pot, you can have different shapes of pots, which is viññāna. But the shape is avidya. So again, this pattern, due to this, according to the pattern of avidya, a creation is done, and that creation is viññāna. And now, again, nama rupa, salayatana, passa, vedana. What happens here is this thing which comes as a manoviññāna to your mind, because of your vipaka, tends to be negative. If that was a positive thing, now actually this is what we contemplate, what we think of ourselves. There's nothing called this personality is better than that personality is better than this. So it is something we perceive, or it is something we have given value. So because of that, when you have given value to something that is plus, and what is coming to your mind is negative, or that which is minus. So what is coming to your mind is not what you expect. Say you have you have given value to some personality pattern or personality type, and what comes to your mind is that you are having that pattern, and you are okay with that pattern. So if that is the case, then the Vedana after that, this would be tanha. You would get attached to that Vedana, because this Vedana is Sukha Vedana. Because this is also plus, this is also plus. Because you are receiving what you wanted. Now, in this scenario, you are receiving what you don't want. You want something else, and your mind says that you don't have it, or you're not having what avidya wants. So it creates a dvesa viññāna, not a raga viññāna, not a raga paticcasamuppada, but a dosa paticcasamuppada. What is dosa paticcasamuppada? After this, I think we have not done this before. After this, there's patigha. Because this is not sukha, this is not blissful. This Vedana is suffering Vedana. Suffering Vedana cause patigha, patigha cause adhimokha, adhimokha cause dosa bhava. Now fear is a dosa. Anger is also a dosa. Dosa is an umbrella term. Fear, anger, hate, rage, revenge, everything falls under dosa. Now fear is also dosa. So dosa, bhava, creating dosa jati. So that is the end of this paticcasamuppada. Now you cannot get rid of this problem. Now this is actually a manoviññāna, a mental thought, which is a thought, which is actually not that, not suffering. It's neutral. It's just a thought. But since your mindset is, mindset wants, or your avidya wants something else, because if the mind or if there was no avidya for that matter, for this scenario or for the personality types, you don't care what personality you are, you had that kind of a mindset, this Vedana would not be created based on the inputs that were coming into your mind. Based on the thoughts that were coming into your mind, you would not be generating a suffering Vedana would not be generated. But since you have a preference, since you have a type that you want, and this preference is based on value, this preference is based on importance, since you get the idea to your mind that you are not having that important mind or important type personality, then that would create the dosa paticcasamuppada, creating suffering Vedana. So, as this is what happens. If it is suffering Vedana, it is going to be patigha. You cannot change it. If it is a blissful Vedana, and if this was started with avidya, you would be creating, instead of patigha, tanha here. What if you had this exact personality type you wanted? And again, a mind, you are receiving a thought to your mind that about this type. Avidya would be creating a blissful Vedana, and your superiority complex, or your proudness or your arrogant nature about yourself would increase because of that. Because the paticcasamuppada, the paticcasamuppada mechanism it works accordingly or in correspondingly to that manoviññāna, or the thought that is coming to your mind. So this is how Vedana is created. Now, how should you get rid of this? This is a day-to-day problem that we should get rid of. Whether it is about images, whether it is about sounds, whether it is about smells, tastes, touches, or thoughts like this, it's the same mechanism that we are going to apply. Now, see that there's this. Now, this could be a very complicated topic, because there are a lot of things that are interconnected when we are talking, when we are trying to solve this kind of a problem, and nobody else but the person who is having it can solve it, because these are very complicated and interconnected things. this can be connected with other people's views, how other people think about my personality, and how what other people say about these things, and everything are interconnected. So this is not just one one what do you call, um, this is not something that came overnight. This is due to a big process. This is actually, this has a connection with the Kamma Vipāka as well, because of bad karma we have done in the past lives. It creates a background for this kind of vipaka, which are dukkha vipaka. Fear is a dukkha vipaka, frustration is a dukkha vipaka, and these dukkha vipakas are received by us because of our past actions. But that's a good thing. If we get rid of this avijja, at least this problem, that dukkha vipaka would not have any way to reach to you. Because if avijja was gone, if avijja was eliminated, deleted, then how can this suffering Vedana is created? Cannot create this suffering Vedana. So that dukkha vipaka would be that the pathway for dukkha vipaka is removed. So you are free if you could get rid of this avijja, which is value for something that is actually that does not actually have value. So you have to see as anicca, dukkha, anatta, and asubha how one's personality pattern has caused so much problems. There's actually today I read a very beautiful sutta which is in the Majjhima Nikaya, and in this sutta Supreme Buddha says a man likes a woman. So this liking, because of this liking, he now this person likes the lady, and this lady goes and talks with other people, smiles with other men, actually other men, talks with other men, and have conversations, and have friendships with other men, and when the person who is attached to this lady sees this, Supreme Buddha asks from his disciples whether this man is having soka parideva dukkha domana supayas. And the disciples say, yes, he's having soka parideva dukkha domana, so suffering, he's suffering because he's attached to this lady, and this lady is having conversations with other people and smiling with other people. And again, Supreme Buddha asks, what if that person sees the problem or the shortcoming of having attachments with this lady and decides that attachment is a reason for suffering, so I should get rid of this attachment, and that would eliminate this soka parideva dukkha domana supaya, so suffering. So then that person does that and get rid of the attachment after seeing adina, after seeing problems, after seeing the troubles that it can create, problems, negative side of it. After seeing the negative side of it, he get rid of the attachment from that lady. Now still that lady talks with other men, other have conversations, smiles with other people. Now does that, the Supreme Buddhas, does that actions of that lady create suffering in the other person or that man's mind? And the disciples or the monks say, no, Bhante. So likewise, we have to get rid of this mindset, the
Thero, you may be muted.
Combination of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, Patavi, Akasa, which is controlled by a Vijnana, a consciousness, which is dependent on blissful Vedana. If it is a blissful Vedana, you would go after it. If it is suffering Vedana, you would just withdraw from that. If it is a neutral Vedana, you would just stay. This is the simple mechanism a person would, or an animal, let's say a cat, a dog, would work. If it is a blissful Vedana, the decision would be to go after it. If it is a suffering Vedana, you would run from it. The animal would run from it. If it is a neutral Vedana, you would just stay. The animal would just stay. So personality is different kinds of things. This mindset, avidya mindsets, some mindsets can be due to arrogance. Some are due to superiority complex. Some are due to inferiority complex. Atimana, uchamana, hinamana, and everything. And also some personalities are due to various kinds of addictions. Some like gambling, some like drinking, some like using drugs, some like working like a workaholic, some like some are full of anger, some are full of lust, and this is what actually creates a personality. So when that is what creates a personality, what you can see is a combination of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, and Patavi moving, changing directions, going, talking, a combination of Apo, Tejo, Vayo, and Patavi doing various things. So it is a machine that is worked or that is operated by avidya. So when you see that, would you find one type superior than the other? Or would you get rid of all the types, all the personality types? There's nothing, when you get rid of all the defilements, you would become Arihat, and that would be the original or the most neutral personality you can get. That is without avidya. Now, everything else is full of avidya, avidya in different proportions, different things, creating different outcomes, which is called personality. So you might be affected, or anybody can be affected with what other people think, what other people say, or what we perceive as they are seeing or thinking. So this also can affect your or anybody's decision. So what we should do is we should we should first analyze the extent of the problem. How many branches, how many areas that are affected, or what areas are affected by this, and what are the areas that affects this problem. And one by one you have to use your wisdom, use your ñāna, vipassana to get rid of this problem. The main basic principle that you should follow is explained with this Patisampada technique. So I hope, I don't know whether the question, your problem was answered with this answer. If it is good, if you could respond with any question or whatever you think about it. Right. So any questions, if you have, you can post it into the chat. And again, there was another question, and this is not a very big question. It will not take much time, so we can cover it during today's discussion. And the last one also, we'll try to cover both. And I don't know if I can ask this question, but it's something I have always been curious about. When Buddha was a bodhisattva, Devadatta, it's actually Devadatta, did many bad things to Buddha, Siddhartha, Buddha's past life, yes. Nevertheless, how was he able to continue reincarnating under good conditions? So it is like this. Now, when you do some things in the sansaric journey, if you have read the Kamma Vipāka Sutta, which is also in the Majjhima Nikaya, again in the Vibhanga Vagga, there's this Kamma Vipāka Sutta, and in that it's he says, Supreme Buddha says, there are people who does bad things and just go to heaven. There are people who does good things and just go to hell, and the vice versa. That means there are people that do good things going to heaven, good places up above, and also there are people doing bad things going to hell, the four hells. People cannot decide what happens, because let's say I was a good person all along, all this time, all this life, I was a good person. But once in my life, I killed a dog. I killed an animal. So a person who has just seen the killing of the animal would decide that this person should go to hell because he has done a bad thing. But during the whole course of life, during this whole time for 50 or 60 years, I might have done very, very good things. Yes, the bad action would get bad consequences, but it does not say you would receive it in the next life. It doesn't happen like that. It happens if you see throughout this samsara for a longer period. Yes, that person might have had, oh, I would get punished, or punished in the sense I would get the bad outcomes of what I have done to that dog. But maybe in the next life I would go to the realm of deities, and I would enjoy. And in that realm, since the bad karma cannot infiltrate, it would get blocked until I reach a lower plane. When I reach a lower plane, that karma would come and that would affect. So again, it is the same for the other way. I have been doing very bad things, all the 10 immoral, unwholesome acts during my life, and only on one occasion I just helped somebody. That does not mean if somebody is just arguing that this person did a good thing, just help somebody, and this should get him to the higher realms. That necessarily that is not the case. It doesn't happen exactly like that. Can happen, but it is not the same. It does not always happen like that. Most of the time that person can go to the lower realms or the hell, and later on, yes, he has done something good and it would have good consequences. When that person reaches some point that he can receive these consequences, he would receive good consequences of these actions. So I would get two bizarre occasions that this has changed. So that's why it is very, very unpredictable. Again, in the story of Dhammadassi. Dhammadassi is the executor, royal executor. He kills people when the king commands, kill this man. He's the one who kills. So this person has killed thousands of people under, it is legal under king's command. Now killing is who under what or whose command it is. Killing is unwholesome act, and you'd have bad consequences if you kill. But the thing is, Sariyut Thero at the last on a day where this person was having porridge or a soup, Sariyut Thero went to his home, and this person could become Sotapanna stream enterer after listening to Dhamma, and he straight away went to Tusita realm, which is a higher realm. And all the things, killings he has done, because he's becoming Sotapanna and not coming back again, because he has entered the Arya pathway, all the karma that were generated there would be eliminated, would not be experienced. So then now that is how this works. So if it is a very, very high or a very, very powerful meritorious deed, then that can overpower the others. It's like the veto powers that is used in the United Nations. The biggest countries of the world can use veto powers. Just like that, biggest meritorious deeds can use veto powers on smaller defilements, smaller negative karma. Now, positive ones can do that. And the other one, if you have, no matter how much good things you might have done, if you have not become a Sotapanna, you are susceptible for the 5 pancha anantarika kamma, which is killing your mother, father, killing an arihat, hurting Supreme Buddha, and dividing of Bhikkhu Sangha. So these things can happen. If even one of these things can happen, that is the negative, the veto of the negative aspect, which is if you have done that, however much good things you might have done is irrelevant. You would definitely go to the lower realms, which is definitely you will go to the hell. So that is the story, the background of this story. And now we'll come to the question. Now, in the story of Devadatta, he have done various things to Supreme Buddha or Bodhisattva in the samsaric journey. Once the Bodhisattva was a monkey and Devadatta was a human, and he kills this monkey and goes to the hell, and I think it's the Aviti hell, the biggest one that one can go. So, and spends this karma. And during this Sara Sankheya Kalpalaksa, that means 100,000 Sara Sankheya Kappa or eons, he has gone to hell due to the problems caused towards Mahabodhisattva many times, maybe billions and trillions of times. But he is paying the price as well. He's spending the karma. And there's this instance that his connection, or what do we call the transaction. This is actually a transaction that is going to be that is there between the Mahabodhisattva and this Thero, the Devadatta Thero. So it should, at the last, it should be sorted out somehow. So that's why at the last life they have to come together. They have to come closer in order to pay these debts, pay these have this interaction. And in some instances, Supreme Buddha was a rishi, a very powerful person, a mentally capable person, and again, the Devadatta also was a equally capable rishi. So they were going hand in hand, because if you are a hero, or if you are a good person, to challenge that kind of a powerful good person, you have to be that powerful, or equally powerful. So that's why Devadatta was not an ordinary monk. He had Pancha Abhijñā as well as Ashta Samapatti. So all the mental capabilities of changing into various forms, various animals and everything, he could do that, because to challenge an opponent like that, you have to have that kind of power. So, and the other thing is, he had a problem with only the Siddhartha Gautama Buddha, or Gautama Buddha, not the name Buddha. So that's why he could, at the last instance, he could seek forgiveness, because he was never having a problem with Buddha, because he also wanted to become Buddha. He wanted to kill Supreme Buddha or Gautama Buddha, and he wanted to become Buddha, and he never understood how that happens. So he also might be a yes, he'll become a Pacheka Buddha, named Satisara, in the future, and he would not be able to live that long, as I have heard. Only few seconds after becoming Pacheka Buddha, he has to go to Parinibbana, because of the load of defilements he has in his system. He has completed most of his pathway to becoming a Pacheka Buddha, because he during this pathway, even though he is doing he is having a one-on-one quarrel, or one-on-one problem with the Gautama Buddha, or the Bodhisattva. He did not have any problem with Buddha Sasana, or anything. That's why he became a monk. That's why he also wanted to become Buddha. This is because of a private thing between the two individuals. Other than that, he did not do any harm to Buddha Sasana. In the sense, he did not become hostile to Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. That's why he's able to do. He's able to complete the sansari journey later in this sansari, and he will be able to end this sansari journey. Yes, this thing is true. I have heard Devadatta gonna be Pacheka Buddha in the far future, and that is one of the reasons why Buddha accepts his ordination. Yes, that is as according to my understanding also, that is true, according to what I have heard. So and the other thing is, you cannot just become a Pacheka Buddha just by accepting his ordination. He has created a lot of causes to become that, because to become a Pacheka Buddha, you have to complete your paramitas for 2 asankhya eons, 2 asankhya eons. Yeah. So that is a very long time. So he might have done some of, at least part of it, during this lifetime, and up until this lifetime. So that I hope that answers your question. And there's one more question. In the last disclosure, if the process of self has progress taught us to insight, take the parts, is this Vedana Nupassana? Oh, yes, it is actually part of Vedana Nupassana. Yes, just see the isolate. That is why we use the Bhagava method. So in the Patisampada also, isolate the part where you got attached, isolate the part you found the avidya, and see that part as anicca dukkha anatta. If you like this, you are eating an ice cream and you are liking the vedana of the ice cream, just see the vedana as anicca dukkha anatta. That is vedana anupassana again. So you are just applying it there, and you are seeing vedana is actually a result of passa, and I cannot have it according to my control or according to my expectation. What if that ice cream was having salt in it? You would not get the expected vedana, and that would create suffering. I just paid this much of money to this man to buy this delicious. I thought at least it was delicious ice cream, and this is not delicious. I am just disappointed, and I am disappointed that my money went to waste, because you are having an expectation that this Vedana would occur according to what you expect, but in reality, it is according to Vedana, according to Passa or touch. Now that is what you need to understand. Now you are seeing Vedana as Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. So the second one, Dukkha, you are seeing it as Dukkha as well. This is not something you can get attached to, because if you get attached to something that you cannot have control of, that creates Dukkha, because it goes out of control. It is just like hugging fire. It is just like drinking a poisoned a drink or poisoned alcohol. You think that you can get the blissfulness of alcohol, but it is actually poison. It is not suitable to drink. Just like that, you have to see the trap. It is just a fish or a worm on the hook. It is not suitable to eat that worm, because you would die, because you get caught in the trap of the person who is fishing up above the lake. So again, dukkha, and again anatta. Whatever vedana you create, it just deteriorates. Viparinama dukkha. You cannot get rid of it. Piyehi vipayogo dukkho. When the favorite thing or the thing that you like is deteriorated, that would definitely generate in dukkha, suffering, because of it. So again, you are seeing vedana as anicca dukkha anatta. If you are attaching at the level of passa, you are applying it there. So see it in because when you are trying to see the whole thing at a time, you are not using the quality of Bhagava, and you would, most of the time, you would get caught in the delusion, because you don't know, and what you need to do is not done. Apart from that, what you do is you are just using your logic to do. You are logically thinking, not thinking with wisdom. Wisdom is one thing, logic is one thing. So what we need is the development of wisdom, not logic. So I hope that answers the question, both questions. I appreciate your sermon again, Thero. I hope I can hear more sermons with your mention of interesting stories, cases, which makes us understand Dhamma in Suttas. Yeah, we'll see. According to the problems, questions you posed, I think the discussion from here onwards should go with questions. Otherwise, the main part of what we need to discuss and understand has been already covered, but that does not mean that you have the 100% understanding of everything. That's why we go with questions now. So if there's a good understanding from your side that yes, now we know what to do and we understand this is what needs to be done, and if we do this, we can end this sansaric journey. That would be the least we can or the minimum requirement that we can expect from these discussions.
Thank you very much, Thero. I think we are grateful to have, as you very correctly mentioned, questions are coming in terms of whether it is in the practice, etc. So it is great to see that development. And as you suggested, hopefully you will either in person to Thero or prior to the discussions or within the discussions, you will share questions with us so that from now on, we can take those into use and help you as well as us to make progress in Dhamma. So since we have almost reached 2.5 hours, Thero, may I now kindly invite you to do a small anumodana and end the discussion for the day. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So today we discussed very important methodology that we can use to eliminate raga, dvesa, and dosa and moha. And again, we discuss practical questions, very important to have this kind of questions in our discussions, because that is how we would be developing our wisdom, developing our ñāna about vipassana, and the Chintamaya Panya would be developing when we are discussing these things. And with that, with these discussions, the amount of meritorious power that has been generated is immeasurable, because seeing the reality of the world as anicca, dukkha, and anatta is the highest meritorious deed that we can do in this world. So we have been discussing for 2.5 hours, and during these discussions, our minds were divided of raga, dvesa, and moha, or pancha nivarana, kama, chanda, vyapada, dīna, middha, uccā, and vicikicca. And during this time, we were thinking and we were trying to understand the supreme Dhamma and all the meritorious power which was generated through these things, through these discussions, may create the background for everyone to attain Nibbana. All the hindrances or obstacles that cover up the Nibbana pathway may get diminished, creating the perfect environment to practice the Arya pathway or Yathābhūta Magga, attaining the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Accept this blessing with the sadhukara.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
And also, in this special occasion, let us transfer this meritorious power to all the ones, all the people, all the individuals, all the sentient beings that are there in this universe, or all the sentient beings in the universe, especially the ones who helped us during this sansaric journey, our parents, the deceased relations during this lifetime, and also during this sansaric journey, and the ones who has helped us in various ways, the ones who gave us jobs, or ones who taught us, our teachers, parents, and also the ones who constructed our houses, workplaces, and all the ones who were around us all the time, helping us, like spouses, children, relations, neighbors, and everybody, and also the ones in the workplaces as well, and the ones who taught us what is right and what is wrong, our kalyana mitras, and also the sappurisas that helped us in various ways during this sansari journey, and also the ones who were hurted by us, who were harmed by us without knowing what is right and what is wrong. We have done various unethical deeds depending on or based on avidya. Our basic tools of survival were the 10 unwholesome acts And using these 10 unwholesome acts, we might have hurted and harmed many sentient beings, including Arya noble people as well. And let us acknowledge our faults in this special occasion and determine ourselves that we are not going to do these kinds of things again, and let us transfer these meritorious powers to them as well. And let us also remind ourselves about all the deities and also all the Brahmas in this universe, and also the ones who helped us have this Dhamma discussion, the ones who constructed these temples, the ones who are paying for these connections, and also the ones who are behind the scene helping us in various ways, and also the disease relations and everybody of those ones who are helping. And also all the sentient beings in the universe as well. And let us transfer this meritorious power to all of them with metta and kindness. May they be happy, or may they rejoice these meritorious deeds, and may they generate immeasurable amounts of meritorious power with these meritorious, by rejoicing these meritorious deeds. If they are in miserable places, may they refrain from doing sins, may they replace those sins with meritorious deeds, and may they lead happy lives, ultimately understanding the reality of the world, attaining the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Transfer this meritorious power to them with metta and kindness, with the sadhukara.
Sadhu,
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
And we'll be ending this discussion with a Pali blessing. Abhivadana Silisa, Nichang Vadhapchaino, Chatharo Dhamma Vadanti, Ayuano Sukambalang, Ayurarugi Sampatti, Sagga Sampatti, Mevicha, Ato Nibbana Sampatti, Iminati Samichatu. May everyone attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana.
sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much, Venerable Thero, for taking the valuable time to preach the Dhamma and answer our questions today. And also thank you very much for the participants again for your prompt attendance, as well as putting forward questions and making the discussion fruitful. With that, we end the discussion for the day. May the Triple Gem bless everyone. Theruvan Saranai, Abhiramani.
Theruvan Saranai.
Peruan Saranai.